Folks of a certain age probably will well recognize, my age, Gypsy. That is Gypsy Queen Part 1. I believe that's the tune that charted for them back in the 60s, the late 60s. There's a great documentary that has been made about this incredible band. This incredible band that was there then, and I guess in a sense, still doing it today. I'm probably more familiar with James Walsh Gypsy Band, with the James Walsh Gypsy Band. But someone who is no stranger to any of this is Aaron Goodyear. Aaron has made this filmmaking debut a while back with Gypsy, Rock and Roll Nomads, and there's going to be a special screening of this as a fundraiser. We'll tell you about that coming up, but first let's say good morning to Aaron. Aaron, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good, John. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, what do you think of when you hear that music after all the hours you spent working on this documentary?
Well, I still love it every time I hear it. I can't get enough of it.
You know, for folks who don't know, given the history of Gypsy, because before they were Gypsy, they were at a time that was probably well documented in Rick Shefchick's book when they were the Underbeats.
Yep. Yeah, they began as the Underbeats in the early 60s, and long story short, they did their time here and then moved out to L.A. and realized that Underbeats probably was getting to be sounding kind of dated as a band name, and wanted to update the name of their band. So they went with Gypsy.
So they go out to L.A. How do they just go out to L.A. and wander up and end up being, for a number of months, the house band at Whiskey A Go-Go?
Yeah, they were almost a year. They were the house band there, which means that they played probably 5 to 6 nights a week, playing as the opening band for anybody who played there at the time. So they had a manager who was really kind of tenacious and had heard the Doors on the radio and knew that they had started at Gazzari's on the Sunset Strip and at the Whiskey A Go-Go, went there after Gazzari's. So he just kind of tried to follow in their steps and the process that the Doors took, and they kind of followed the same kind of formula.
I'm looking at some of the acts that they would have worked with at Whiskey A Go-Go, like the Kinks, King Crimson, Chicago, Chicago Transit Authority at the time, now today Chicago. And that's kind of interesting to me too, Aaron, thinking about this, because the sound at sometimes could be very similar to Chicago.
Yeah, they've got their fourth record, Unlock the Gates. Chicago's horn section plays on a few of the songs on there. They were really good friends with Chicago, and Chicago was the house band at the Whiskey A Go-Go just previous to Gypsy, and they got to be good friends with them through that, knowing them over there.
Now, later on, though, because Gypsy kind of went their own ways here, but then James Walsh continued. He was the keyboardist, still is, I believe, but they're still doing it, right?
They are. They're still doing it. They still play regularly. They play a lot around here, and they're actually playing on the 4th of July coming up at the Richfield American Legion back in their back ballroom there. But and they've got a huge following in the St. Louis area, too, as well as Minneapolis. They had a DJ, a few of the DJs down there at one of the rock stations in 1970 heard the record, and it was a format where they could just kind of play whatever they liked, and if the DJ liked it, then they could play it on the radio. And a couple DJs hooked onto that record and started playing it. So they got a big following in that market, and they're still, they still pack the house down there, and they'll play a show, and then they'll have to add a second show and add a third show just because their shows keep selling out down there. It's kind of a unique situation for them. It's it's their second home down there, but they've got a huge following here too. And
are they attracting new fans, or is it still mostly, Aaron, people who are in my age range, people who remember
they attracted
better?
Me. I guess I'm a new fan, and I'm 40. I'm 40 years old. I heard them when I was probably 37, and started working on it then. And I've turned on many people my age and younger to it, and they just they can't believe that this band didn't get more recognition because of their such unique sound that they have with their harmonies and
Well, I should let's point this out again, that the film that you did, Gypsy, Rock and Roll Nomads, is the documentary first shown at last year's International Film Festival, Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. And then people wonder what happens to those productions afterwards. Well, I'll tell you what happens. There's going to be a couple of special showings coming up, not this weekend, But
Yep.
yes,
Saturday.
this coming Saturday. This Saturday at the Parkway, which is a perfect place, on 48th in Chicago and South Minneapolis. The tickets are $12 in advance, $15 at the door. But here's one of the reasons for doing this, because 100% of the money goes to help a guy named Charles Shane.
Yep.
And I mentioned earlier Rick Shefchick's book, Everybody's Heard About the Bird, the true story of 1960s rock and roll in Minnesota. He's been on
Great
my
book.
show a couple of times. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The thing is, when he was on my show the last time, the book was not available because it had sold out everywhere.
Yep, absolutely.
But they've done additional printings of it. Anyway, that book is going to be one of the things that'll be raffled off. But the Del Counts were an important part of that same 60s music scene, as were the Underbeats at the time.
Yeah, they were one of the contemporaries of the Underbeats was the Del Counts, and Charles Shane was the founder, and he has been with them consistently since the early 60s. And I think I was told recently this is his 56th year with the Del Counts.
Oh, wow.
So he's been,
Well, he's had some health problems here of late, too, and he's been unable to continue to play. So the idea, this fundraiser then, was showing this film a couple of times, 2 screenings, by the way.
Yep, 3 o'clock and 7.
The idea behind this, though, is to raise some money to help replace the lost performing wages and to offset some of his excessive medical costs. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly, and so, I have zero overhead. The film's been paid for. Everything's, it doesn't cost me a thing to play it. I called around to a few of the theaters. I got a hold of Joe at the Parkway. And he said, I don't want to charge you anything. I want to donate the room. I want to show it twice. So, he's donating their space too. So it's a completely free setup, and 100% of the money can go to Charles, and there's, no overhead costs. So like I said, everything's been paid for the film long ago. So,
well, let me tell you about a couple of other things, or let me tell the listeners about a couple of other things happening. And I'm going to take a break here in just about a minute or so, but there's going to be a 3 o'clock showing and a 7 o'clock showing. And something pretty cool, the still participating members of Gypsy are going to be at the 3 o'clock show. You maybe get to meet them, bring whatever memorabilia you have from those days gone by and get that autographed or whatever.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they'd be happy to do that. There's also going to be some prizes that will be drawn, or are they going to be raffle prizes? Is that
Well, it's a silent auction.
Oh, silent auction. Better yet.
Yep. I've had a number of great items donated that will be set out there on a table.
Well, hold on one second here now. Aaron, hold on. I'm going to put you on a break here because when we come back, we'll talk about that and some other things and some more about Gypsy then and Gypsy now. So we'll be right back here on WCCO chatting with Aaron Goodyear, the filmmaker. That film will be shown at the Parkway Theater this coming Saturday, a 3 o'clock show and a 7 o'clock show, and we'll tell you coming up here how you can go about getting tickets. But right now, as we have been throughout the morning, we're going to continue to take updates from CBS News. At this hour, I believe Congressman Ryan is addressing the House and maybe the Senate with the latest here from CBS.
CBS News special report. There's late word that one of the people shot this morning at a congressional baseball practice has now died. This police radio call conveys the urgency after a gunman with an assault rifle opened fire on Republican congressmen and staff members.
Right by the baseball field from the YMCA, there's also a victim down in the baseball field.
They were practicing for the annual Republican-Democrat charity baseball game. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, 2 Capitol officers who returned fire, and 2 other people were hurt. The gunman from Illinois is dead. Illinois Congressman Rodney Davis was at the ball field.
Never seen him before. He's from my home state. It makes me nauseous.
Witness Dave Miller tried to help.
We opened up the door, the side door to our building, and hollered for them to come in to get some kind of shelter because at that point, no one really knew what was happening.
The officers who killed the gunman were part of Scalise's security detail.
Many lives would have been lost if not for the heroic actions of the 2 Capitol police officers who took down the gunman despite sustaining gunshot wounds.
President Trump spoke about an hour ago.
Everyone on that field is a public servant. Our courageous police, our congressional aides, who work so tirelessly behind the scenes with enormous devotion, and our dedicated members of Congress who represent our people.
And again, one of the shooting victims has died, and we repeat that the gunman is also dead. CBS News Special Report. I'm Peter King.
We'll continue to share updates throughout the day here with you on WCCO Radio. I'm sure Chad Hartman will have much more on this afternoon here on WCCO. Meanwhile, in my conversation with Aaron Goodyear, a little more music. This is the James Walsh Gypsy Band. I think I've got that right, don't I, Aaron?
Yep, that's from their '78 self-titled record.
Yeah, indeed. So let's talk about now. How do people get tickets if they want to come and see this film, Gypsy Rock and Roll Nomads?
You can go to theparkwaytheater.com, and their calendar is right there, and you can just click on the event, and a window will pop up to order tickets. And 12 in advance, 15 at the door. You can save $3 by getting them now and getting them this week, and and it's 15 at the door. So
yeah, so get on it. So
yeah,
because there are going to be people clamoring for this. Among the items autographed to be auctioned off, silent auction, a 27 by 40 official poster of the film.
Yep.
Autographed by the current and original members of Gypsy and others who appeared in that film.
Yep.
A pair of tickets for the Twins New York Yankees game coming up. These are in the Delta 360 Club. That's very nice.
Yep. And you can hear Dick and Bert doing the play-by-play
while you're sitting in those seats.
Within earshot of those seats. Yep.
Very cool. 2 signed copies of Rick Chefchik's definitive history book. Everybody's heard about the bird, the true story of 1960s rock and roll. So, great story all the way around. And nice, Aaron, of you to be doing this and putting this thing on and bringing it to everybody and sharing it with everybody once again. What is the buzz about the film now? What have you been hearing about this? Where else have you shown this?
Well, we've had it at so we won Best Documentary at the Highway 61 Film Festival, which is up in Pine City, north of Hinckley there.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it north or south? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we had it in the St. Louis International Film Festival. That was last November. And then just recently, last month, it won the jury award at the Canada International Film Festival, which took place in Vancouver. So
nice.
Had a nice little run, more than I expected. It started out as just kind of like a fun little project, and it just snowballed into something that I didn't even expect, and very happy with its success, and I'm very happy to be doing this on Saturday here.
So now, what's the next film you're working on? You must.
I
can't believe you're sitting idle.
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple things going on, but I've got a baby coming on June 29th, so things are slowing down for me, but I'm going to take some time for that. But there's some irons in the fire.
Good.
Coming up, so
good.
We'll
all right.
Just kind of
remind everybody once again, though, that if you go to the parkwaytheater.com, you can you purchase tickets for either showing on Saturday, 12 in advance, 15 at the door, a 3 o'clock show, a 7 o'clock show, a special screening of the documentary Gypsy, Rock and Roll Nomads. And you're going to want to see it because there are some they were there at a crazy time when you stop and think about the Manson murders, and they were like neighbors practically.
They lived next door to the LaBianca family, and it was, they shared a property line, and the killers, when they ran away, kind of ran right through their yard. It's just there's just some unbelievable little side stories that go along with this band.
So you want to check this film out again this coming Saturday, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock at the Parkway Theater. Thanks, Aaron. I hope you get a great turnout.
Thank you very much for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Take care. Aaron Goodyear. It's just the parts of it that I've seen are really great. It is 25 minutes after 11 o'clock here at WCCO Radio. I'm going to do this message, I do believe, for Harry's. It's about getting a really close, comfortable shave at a really fair price. Good morning. Again here, WCCO. X says, John, I haven't been able to find Gypsy music on iTunes. Is the recorded music available anywhere? Oh, I wish I'd seen this question before Aaron Goodyear got off the phone. I will call him and ask him. I will call him back and see if I can get an answer to that question. Or I bet you could find out on Saturday if you went to the Parkway Theater for the benefit for Charles Shane from the Del Counts. Wow, 56 years with that band. Then, of course, you stop and think about some of the other bands that are out there who've all been playing in for that time frame. The Rolling Stones, for goodness sakes, doing it for that long. So, if not longer. But I remember I don't remember ever seeing them or hearing them, but I remember being around for the Del Counts, the Underbeats. That was the same era as Danny's Reasons and the Trashmen and the Perspectives, and so many others that were big around this time.